Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today in this tutorial we'll write a Python program to print this number pattern. Shape of this pattern is square. Number of row is equal to number of column. In this pattern number of row is 5, number of column is 5. And here we want to print number like this: 25, 24, 23, 22, 21. Then 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right? How to print this number? So if you observe this pattern carefully, in the even row, that is in the 0th row, 2nd row and 4th row, here to get this number we need to minus 1 from the previous value. 25 minus 1 is 24. 24 minus 1 is 23. 23 minus 1 is 22. 22 minus 1 is 21. Here also same. 15 minus 1 is 14. 14 minus 1 is 13. 13 minus 1 is 12. 12 minus 1 is 11. 5 minus 1, 4. 4 minus 1, 3. 3 minus 1, 2. 2 minus 1, 1. And in the odd row, if I add 1 to the previous value, 16 plus 1 is 17. 17 plus 1 is 18. 18 plus 1 is 19. 19 plus 1 is 20. Here also same. 6 plus 1 is 7. 7 plus 1 is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. 9 plus 1 is 10. Like this. So we know how to print these numbers. But what about this number? The first number of every row. So here first let's talk about the first number of our pattern, that is 25. What is 25 here? It is actually the product of number of row and number of column. Here, because number of row is 5, number of column is 5, in this pattern we'll get 25. 5 multiply 5, 25. If our pattern has 4 column and 4 row, then the first number of pattern will be 16. Okay. So to get this number, we need to use the formula number of row multiply number of column. Done. Then what about this number? To get this number, we need to minus 5, that is the number of row from the previous value. So we'll print number like this. Okay, first we'll print this, next this, next this, next this, next this. After that we'll print this number, this, 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 this. Next we'll print this, 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 this. Right, like this. So the previous value of this number is this 21. So if I minus 5 from this 21, 5 is the number of row. So I'll get 16. Here also 20 minus 5, 15. 11 minus 5, 6. 10 minus 5, 5. Okay, so to get this number, we need to minus number of row from the previous value. So this is about the pattern. Next, let's write the program. So in the Python file, the first step in the number pattern program is we need to ask the user to enter the input, number of row or number of column. For that, let's take a variable. We'll use input function. Here we'll ask the user to mention number of row. And I'll use int function here because here I'm using Python 3. And in Python 3 by default, this input function will take input as string value. But here number of row is an integer value. So we need to convert that string input to integer using this int function. Done with the first step. The next step is we need to use nested for loop. The first for loop is for row. Here row is a variable which represents the row number. In the range function, I need to mention how many row we want in our output. Inside this, we need to take the for loop for column. And here call is the variable name which represents the column number. In the range function, I need to mention how many columns we want in our output. We want num rows and num columns in our output. Done. And the next step is here we need to print the number. Before printing the number, we need to know whether we are printing the number in the odd row or even row. For that, I'll use this condition. Row modulus 2 is equal to 0. If it is true, then that means row is a even row. So we'll print the number here. Else, that means it is a odd row. So we'll print the number here. Here row modulus 2 is used to check whether the row is even or odd. If row modulus 2 is 0, then that is the even row. So here we need to print the number. So what we want to print? Value starting from num multiply num. That is number of row multiply number of column. We'll get the first value of the pattern. We need to print that here. So end is equal to space to print the space between the numbers. Next, to print the remaining number, I need to decrement value by 1. So here, first number of our pattern is 25, which is actually product of number of row and number of column. So here, first I'll take a variable and I'll store the product of number of row and number of column here. And I'll print that in the even row because the first row is 0, that is a even row. We'll print that. And to get this remaining number, I need to use this formula, value equal to value minus 1. And for odd row, first I'll print value and is equal to space. And as I said, to get the next value, we need to increment value by 1. Here, to get 17, I need to add 16 plus 1, 17 plus 1. Here also 6 plus 1, 7, 7 plus 1, 8. These are the odd rows, right? Then here, after completing a row, to get the first value of the next row, I need to decrement value by num. I mean, we need to minus num from the value. That is to get this number. To get 16, I need to minus 5 from the 21, right? To get this number 15, I need to minus 5 from 20. That's what we are doing here. Okay. Next here, you need to use print function for the new line. That is, we want to print different row in different lines. For that, we are using this print function. So now we are done. If I execute this, 5, we are not getting the number right here because here actually first we'll print 25, next it will decrement value. So here in that situation value becomes 24. Next it will print that 24, value becomes, that is VAL, value means VAL. So it becomes 23 here. It will print 23, value becomes 22. It will print 22, value becomes 21. It will print 21, value becomes 20. Now what I am doing is 20 minus 5. So I'll get 15 here in this position. So we don't want 15, we want 16, right? That's why we need to include this statement before printing the number like this. Now let's save this and execute it. 5. We are getting the number right. And now we need to format the shape. Done. Save, run. 5. Here you can see the correct output. So what are we doing here? Take the input from the user. To get the first number of our pattern, we need to multiply number of row to number of column. So we'll get the first value of the pattern. Then use nested for loop. Check whether we are printing the number in the odd row or even row. If it is even row, then print the value and decrement the value by 1 to get the next remaining values. If you are printing the number in the odd row, first you need to increment the value by 1 because here in the previous row we'll decrement the value. That's why to get the proper value, we need to increment the value by 1 first here, then print the value. Then after printing a row, to get the first value of next row, we need to use this formula, and here we are done. Okay, so this is about this pattern. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I will meet you in next class. Till then, take care.